Good afternoon, everyone. I'm June Riley, CEO of VC Task Force. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. As many of you know, VC Task Force is an organization that supports the venture community by addressing issues of the day. We have programs for investors, different segments of investors, angels, VCs, and CVCs. We have programs for investors and entrepreneurs. This is the CVC Forum, and it's a program for CVCs. I'm going to turn the floor over to Joel, who will continue to tell you about today's event.
Yes, hello everybody, and welcome to today's VC Task Force Gary's Picks event for investors and startups. You may ask, my name is Joel Rosenberg, Director of Business Development and Strategy for VC Task Force. You may ask questions anytime during the event, and time permitting, they will be answered live after today's interview. It is my pleasure to welcome Gary's Picks host, Gary Fowler. Gary is CEO and co-founder of GSD Venture Studios, an award-winning growth stage AI venture studio. Gary is also co-founder of the award-winning AI startup Yva.ai, as well as the investment firm DY Investments. Today, Gary will be interviewing special guest Alex Torriglia, founder and CEO of Xcoop, focused on peer-to-peer digital international money transfer. Alex is a digital entrepreneur with deep commitment to promoting financial inclusion and helping people at the base of the societal pyramid to improve their quality of life. Alex is active in creating business initiatives with a profound social scope designed to narrow the wealth gap between people at all financial levels of society. Xcoop is the first peer-to-peer digital international money transfer company with Latin American roots that transforms the way people send and receive money. Some of Xcoop's key accomplishments to date include 40,000 transactions monthly in the first 10 months, 13,000 signups in the first 9 months, leading to 3 million web views, resulting in 1 million leads in the pipeline. And finally, 16K Uber drivers and growing have signed up already for the platform. Take it away, Gary.
Well, great to be here. Thanks, Joel. Thanks, June. And thanks the entire VC Task Force team for making Gary's Picks happen. Yeah, it's with great pleasure that I introduce Alex. And Alex has had a, shall we say, robust career everywhere. I was reading Alex from being a bilingual training manager. It's the first time I've ever seen anything like that, to where we are today with Xcoop, working with companies like Accenture, with AT&T, Velicom, Sybase, I mean, you name it, InfoCorp, NetInfo, et cetera. So what's that journey like, Alex?
Long, first of all. It was actually a long journey that started, you mentioned actually the bilingual training instructor position, which was somewhere around early 90s. So it's been a long but very exciting journey, Gary.
And so tell us a little bit about what Xcoop. I know you're talking about the unbanked, the working with the unbanked, but what's exactly, what are your goals and where do you see Xcoop over the next couple of years?
Okay, first of all, yes, we are working with the unbanked, but with a different approach in terms of financial inclusion, like probably other fintechs that you see in the market are taking. Actually, particularly with COVID and the pandemic, right? 2020, I would say that it was a financial inclusion year because many countries had to increase the level of banked people within each one of the countries and the economies to be able to start paying salaries and everything in an electronic way rather than in a physical way. Our approach, it's probably a little bit different because it's financial inclusion with a twist. And the reason for that is because we believed that there was a huge portion of the population, particularly in Latin America, that not only needed financial inclusion in terms of simply having a bank account or a method of payment like a wallet or a card, right? But also needed to be inserted into a system. And we realized that actually there was a lot of people that yet they were part of a financial ecosystem somehow, but was a financial ecosystem that was basically on a cash to cash model. And there was a big opportunity there to expand that ecosystem and actually use that ecosystem, which is the money transfer that people are getting and sending within the region, to be able to get them and include it financially. And the way we see ourselves is that obviously we start within Latin America because there is a huge need in this region. But we definitely believe that because Latin America right now is probably one of the largest sources of migration around the world. You see Latin Americans in the US, you see Latin Americans migrating to Europe, even to Asia or Africa right now. I was surprised to see Latin American people migrating also into African countries. So we believe that actually this gives us the opportunity to expand.
Alex, why is that? Why are they migrating?
Well, mainly because of the economic situation of the majority of the countries in the region.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about third world, I believe that because of politics, particularly, Latin American has been really struggling within the last years, and that is generating incredible flows of migrants. You have the example of Argentina, the example of Venezuela. Obviously, it's one of the biggest migrant sources, but also it's happening in Central America, even in Colombia, right, or Ecuador. So basically, what you see is actually within time, more and more people are trying to look for a better quality of life, and that is why they migrate to other regions.
Got it. Yeah, it's interesting because it's what, 647 million people to be able to serve and to be able to really capture that market and help the unbanked. It's interesting. So, okay, sorry to interrupt you. I just was really curious about that.
No, awesome. I mean, truth is, that is what we see basically the potential of our company, right? There is a market. Always, I mean, this is not the first startup that I found. And, I cannot actually follow the book in terms of before deciding to launch a new product or a new company, which is basically you're gonna make sure that you have the market, you have the need, right? And definitely when money transfer and migration are two things that are very linked.
I mean, because they send money back, right? I mean, the idea is to have a better standard of living and then send money back to your family to be able to help.
Absolutely. And we have an awesome example in the region, which is the example between the US and Mexico. I mean, it's one of the, I believe actually it is the second largest market from the US, Mexico, where you have Mexican people living in the US sending almost $40 billion from the US to Mexico alone, right?
Wow, that's incredible.
Yep. So, but yet there is another situation which basically moved us to launch our company, which is whenever you look money transfer volumes, everybody focuses on obviously that large market which is US to Mexico. However, when you start looking the rest of Latin America, there are huge flows that are within Latin America, okay? I always say everybody looks at US Mexico and you have 500 companies between large ones and small ones competing for those $40 billion, right?
Right.
But nobody competes or cares to compete in other corridors, like for example, Mexico to Guatemala, which, there's a huge volume, almost close to $3 billion. Or between Argentina and its neighbor countries, which there is also a huge volume of $5,000 billion. And when you start combining all those intra-regional markets, there is probably even more than Mexico. We're talking about $50 or $60 billion that are being moved.
Wow, and that's just within Latin America.
And that is just within Latin America. When you expand what Latin America transacts with Europe, right, or those countries transact with the US or with Asia, you realize that actually you have almost $150 billion worth of volume. And what happens in this region is you only have 3 companies competing in the intra-regional market compared to those 500 that compete on the US-Mexico ones.
Right.
So that's where we found the opportunity, right? And then we also found a huge opportunity, as I mentioned before, to use that volume, that money that flows between countries, right, to create financial inclusion. When you look at the money transfer business so far within the last 30, 40 years, right, it's basically a business that it's made cash to cash in a very traditional manner. But most importantly, I would say none of the companies that are operating in the market or that have been operating in the market actually expand the relationship with their customers beyond the cash pickup point.
Mhm.
They end the relationship with them. And we felt that there was a huge opportunity for us to go beyond the money transfer, to go beyond the cash pickup point, right? By creating products and financial tools for that people that receive the money to use the money. So therefore, we not only we rely on the sending money business, but also on the using that money business, right?
Got it.
And that allows us basically to start creating initiatives to accompany World Bank's idea of financial inclusion, World Bank initiatives to lower the transfer cost. I mean, the money transfer business, it's really expensive, right? And for people that only depend on that money that is being sent by a relative abroad, right? To have a 10% transfer fee, it's really tremendous for them because it's
Oh,
a
I
lot.
understand, and I've had to do that with my mother-in-law over in Russia. I had to send money over, and it's like crazy expensive when you're trying.
Absolutely.
And it's hard because not everybody accepts it. There's all kinds of different restrictions and regulations, and it's a
Absolutely.
flexibility. So you're in Latin America today. You're looking at, where are you looking to expand in your business?
Well, first of all, the idea is to cover the whole Latin American footprint, right? We're talking about 20 countries in the region, and I say 20 countries because we're talking about the continental countries, and from there on expand to the countries that actually transact the most with Latin America. We're talking about North America, obviously, Mexico, US, Canada, and we're talking about Europe, and the countries that transact the most from Europe, which are Spain, Italy, France, UK, Belgium, Germany, and later on expand to Asia. I mean, we're talking about China, we're talking about India, which if you look at China, Latin America, the same way that it happens in the US, has a huge Chinese community. And with software and Indian software companies, also you have a huge community of the Indian migration in the region.
Right.
So that's the idea, to cover pretty much all the routes that interact with Latin America.
They're pretty ambitious plans. So are you raising any money?
Yes, we are. I mean, it's this business actually, when we look at other companies that are kind of doing the same that we are in other regions, right, which are digital money transfer companies, they are cash intensive. It's basically to be able to support an ambition plan like this, you got to go through several funding rounds. We obviously have done that at the beginning, which allowed us to grow up to the point where we are right now. And we continue looking for money. We're going to go for a Series A, we're going to go for a Series B. There are companies that are still, at this point of time, they are at Series F, just so you know.
Interesting. So how much are you raising? Do you have what's the range of this round?
It's about $10 million, Gary.
Wow, that's great. So $10 million. So VC's out there. So tell us a little bit, how's growth, Alex? I mean, how's the company growing right now?
Well, even though this pandemic thing hit us like it hit any other business, in our case, the complication was it prevented us from opening other markets as quick as we wanted to. The truth is, when you look at this type of business, one of the main things that makes us unique is the possibility of having local offices and a company structure, and also licenses and regulation in each one of the countries where we operate. And that requires a lot of traveling, and obviously because of COVID, we couldn't do as much traveling as we wanted to. So it wasn't as fast as we wanted to, but yet we managed to open 7 new countries between March 2020 and March 2021, which for us is a huge accomplishment. On the other hand, COVID made all these digital payment platforms like ours or companies like PayPal, Mercado Libre, grow more. E-commerce grow more because actually people couldn't move from their houses. So in our case, it really benefited us because it gave us a higher growth than what we expected to have in the first year of operations. The numbers that actually Joel was mentioning before, right? And we expect that to continue. And on the other hand, another thing that we are seeing is we decided to start on the money transfer portion of the business as an entry point to the market, right? And we expected to go more into the ecosystem type of business probably around the second or third year, right? Well, in reality, the truth is we end up, I believe because of COVID, we end up being chosen by the market as a payment company, or meaning we started doing some ecosystem business on the first year, which is awesome for us. And an example of that is the contract that we have with Uber, where we have 16,000 Uber drivers here in Argentina using our platform.
So you got a contract with Uber now?
Yes, correct.
Wow, congratulations. That's great.
Yes, and also with United Nations. United Nations needed to pay an aid to migrants in Latin America that didn't have yet their papers, right? And it was really hard for them to do it either through banks or other means. So we were able to provide a solution through our platform for them. So we have a contract and we are already paying over 10,000 migrants, undocumented migrants for UN. So those are things that are happening before what we expected.
So that's fantastic. So Uber and the United Nations. Well, what great, on one side, a humanitarian side, and the other side, a company that's getting stuff done with business. So Uber, that's great.
Which is what we love, Gary, because that's the whole idea. We wanted to create this company with a really social focus to really help people. And when we say that, we're not saying it on a marketing way, or it's not a marketing speech. It's what really drove us from the beginning and continue driving us.
That's great. And, so what are your plans? I mean, you're going through Latin America now. You say continental. What do you mean by continental Latin America? What countries are they?
We're talking about pretty much all South America, Central America, and obviously North America up to Mexico, right? And when I say continental, is because we don't include the Caribbean islands yet.
Got it. Okay, now I got it. Okay.
Except for Dominican Republic, okay, which and Haiti, which are two markets that really have flows. And the reason for that is because it's too complicated logistically to start opening that market. It doesn't mean that we're not going to do it in the future, right? But at this point of time, on this phase, we focus on the continental Latin American countries. About our plans, responding to that question, we are anticipating opening our operations in the US. That is our main focus. The truth is, all these complications about not being able to travel made us actually, we had to be creative in ways of actually do our expansion. We believe that actually it's time to open the US market and to start getting and focusing on those Latin American migrants that are living in the US and transact with Latin America.
Well, I think that's a huge opportunity. I mean, how many Latin American migrants are in the US right now? I mean, it's got to be a huge number, right?
We're talking about millions, Gary. I don't have the exact number right now.
And people care about their families. They want to make sure they have the food and money. And I know with my mother-in-law and my wife's family, we were doing the same thing in terms of making sure her father and mother are taken care of at all times. So those are really, so it's a great thing. And how much, so if we look at the current systems out there, Alex, how much, and put it in perspective, how much faster can they do it with you compared to the existing systems that are out there today?
Huge. when we started this company, besides also helping people and other than that, and seeing the volume that is being managed within the region, also another opportunity that we saw was the money transfer business was actually being done on a traditional and obsolete manner, which is, you go physically to a store, send money to another country, and then the other person has to go to a store to pick up the cash, right? The fact that we saw the opportunity of doing digital transformation of that particular business, which obviously that itself generates an improvement in terms of time. Actually, you send the money from an app on your cell phone, and the other person receives that money automatically in a wallet in terms of seconds, right?
And I know what it's like, because here what you do is you go to Walmart, right? For instance, my wife would go down to Walmart and MoneyGram the money over to her family. And you had to go down to Walmart. They had to figure out how to get it out over there, and were going to be complications. But streamlining that process is really important, because it's getting to the right person at the right time at the right place.
Not only that, Gary, I mean, when you look at physical operations, you have to deal with other factors, okay? You have to deal that most of the time, those services are being provided on business hours. So if you have an emergency, like for example, in my case, I had an emergency, and that's why I said, come on, there's got to be another way to do this. 4 years ago, I had my sister lives in Italy, and she had an emergency on Easter holiday.
Yep.
And I wanted to send money to her on a Easter Friday. And the truth is, I had all the money transfer companies' stores closed. I couldn't find a way to send money. And I tried to look for digital companies that will allow me to send money over the internet, right? And none of them was operating in Latin America. And even though if I could have found one that was operating in Latin America, the problem was that most of these companies digitalized the sending money process, but yet the cash out money or receiving the money, it is actually done through a physical location, either a bank or a store or whatever. So even if I could have sent the money on a Friday, she would have to wait till Monday to be able to collect it. I usually, and because I lived abroad and I relied on remittances or money transfer to live, most of the time, not always, but most of the time, they are related to an urgency.
Got it.
So,
And so when they get the money, Alex, when they get the money, it's sent over, it goes to their phone. How do they cash it out? Where does it go?
that is another beauty. When you look at the way money transfer was being done today, you were imposed a way to do cash in or cash out, all right, to pay the money transfer or to collect the money transfer. It's imposed, okay? You have to, normally there is no other way except by simply going to a cash pickup location.
Right.
In the last couple of years, we've seen some of the companies improving and being able to send money to a bank account, okay? Which is fine when you talk about countries or regions like Europe, where you have a high number of banked population.
Right.
But when you look at regions like Latin America, Asia, okay, or Africa, then you realize that actually the banking population sometimes it's even below 50%. In some cases, right, it's even below 30%. So we believe that actually using a wallet, right, it's an easy way to provide that person the possibility to receive the money and then give you the alternative to choose how do you want to use that money, whether you want to cash it out, which a lot of people prefer that, then you can have the possibility with a wallet and even having a debit card or a prepaid card associated to a wallet, cash it out on any ATM.
Oh, got it. So yeah. So you can write to your debit card and then take it to an ATM and bada bing.
Correct.
That's great.
Or a prepaid card, which is what we currently do, that it's actually being funded with the money that you have in your wallet, right? And, or if you want to use the money with your card or with your wallet to buy in a store, okay, that is also another possibility. Therefore, you not only depend on cashing out the money, but you depend on having the tools to be able to use that money and have that money available exactly at the time that you need. You don't have to wait till Monday to be able to use that money or get that money.
Right, right. No, I understand that completely. So how explosive is the growth of this market? What do you think? How fast is this going to grow within the next year or two?
I believe that it's speeding up tremendously. Once again, I believe COVID is pushing us further, and it's improving the growth ratio that we even planned on our business plans. And that is a fact. I mean, we're seeing that this situation is going to extend probably at least one more year, and probably two more. So I believe that it's you know, it's helping us because it's creating awareness. I mean, it is incredible the way the media has taken our product and our company, because they realize that actually it's a huge help. And to be honest with you, on the first lockdown months last year, we were the only option to send money, Gary, because
Wow, that's incredible. Well, you said, imagine how many people's lives you saved by being able to send the money. How many people, had a better quality of life because of that. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and we also are very close to the people. We do something that is not common right now to see in current companies. We are investing a lot of money in the way we attend people and the way we serve people. We have a call center that helps people, first of all, and learn how to use the app. I mean, remember that we're dealing with countries that probably are not as technological savvy as other regions, okay? Not only that, but also you see that a lot of people within the money transfer business are people that are not millennials, okay? And our numbers actually are showing that we have, for example, just so you know, more than 45% of our customers are over 55 years old.
Wow, that's amazing. And why is that? Are they sending it back to their parents, or do you have any idea?
Well, in our business, actually we deal with an app, right? That actually you have a customer in one end that sends money using the app, and a customer on the other end that you have to receive the money. So you got to do that. Not only the financial inclusion, but you got to focus a lot on the financial education and digital education piece of the business, right? And we do a lot of that. I mean, at the beginning when we started, I always remember a case. We had a customer that was a lady that actually she was 80 years old, and she needed to receive money from her granddaughter that was sending her money. So we spent 8 calls with that person, helping her to learn how to use that application to receive the money, okay? And it's funny because we still have her as a customer, right?
So, that's great. What a wonderful story. Yeah. Well, Alex, I want to thank you for taking your time out of your busy schedule to join me today and join us on Gary's Picks. It's great having you here. Sounds like your company's really ready to take off in the not only Latin American market, but the global market, bringing people together and helping them in all kinds of ways, especially during this pandemic. Joe, I want to thank you, and I want to thank June and the entire VC Task Force team for once again making Gary's Picks possible. I appreciate it, and we look forward in another 2 weeks to having another edition of Gary's Picks. Thank you, Joel.
Alex, Gary, thank you again. Thank you for a wonderful event. Very, very informative, very timely. I know there's a huge market for this and a huge need, not just during these times, but going forward as well. This is an ongoing challenge for people to get funds where they need to be. So really, thank you both. Look forward to seeing the audience back here in 2 weeks on the 12th of May for the next edition of Gary's Picks. Until then, stay well, stay safe, and we'll see you then. Take care.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Al.
Thanks.
Bye.